Get started, I just wanted to ask you, what do you think is going on? When somebody says that to you, where does your mind go? Do you go to the thing there, right? Or do you go to something else, hotspot? We're under a biological thing, a little psychological thing. So if you're one of the people that goes, what do I think is going on? And that sparks a curiosity, I really invite you not only to listen to our guest tonight, but to come to Portal of Ascension, because the information that you're looking for isn't coming out of a box. It's not. You need to hear it from people, and people who are telling the truth. So several of the people that are going to be at Portal of Ascension with us, and Augie and I are going to be there, are here tonight. So I really invite you to get your water, get your coffee, get whatever it is you want to get, and settle in, and don't miss any words, because what these people have to share, it's like precious gold, like pearls. So thanks for being here, guys. I didn't mean to alarm you, but it's a little bit serious. And if you have questions that need answered, well, then you now have an option. You now have a choice to make where you may find those answers. So, Augie, are you going to introduce our amazing guests?
Yes, I
Yes? All
absolutely
right.
will.
All
It's
right.
wonderful. And I just first want to say a little bit, a couple of few words about this conference coming up also. Yes, we are doing a roundtable conference tonight, and we are going to do the real conference on the 16th, 17th, and the 18th. But tonight we're going to give you a little test, or just a little taste, I guess, of what is to come. And we have assembled some of the most brilliant and credible minds anywhere to explain what is both inside and outside of the box. What happens back in history, we also hear about that a little bit, that allowed for things to get up to the point where we are today. What did we do? What went wrong? And what can we do about it right now? And also, we're going to hear a little bit about what to expect. And I know a lot of us are looking to hear about that. By the time the upcoming conference is over, you will have a good understanding of UFOs and maybe even who are the pilots. That's a good question.
That's a good question.
And yeah, and we'll also hear about hypnosis and what phenomenal advantages and help it can be in that. And most people don't really have a clue. And also, we will hear about the bondage of religion. And that's kind of a favorite one of mine, I guess. But we're also going to hear about how do we stay healthy and never get sick. And yeah, there's a lot more too. And today, we will give you just a little taste of it. And we have with us, of course, my multi-talented co-host, Nori Love. And
Aw,
me, and I'm Augie.
thank you.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm still Augie. And then we have Laura Eisenhower,
Yay.
Neil Gower, and Dan Willis.
Yay.
And Brad Olsen couldn't be with us tonight, but he will be. There's going to be another roundtable conference, probably a little bit, maybe a week and a half or so from now. So just watch for that one. Neil Gower, he is not with us, and that's why you can't see him. He's not here yet. He will be coming later in the show, and he's got another engagement that he had, and he just couldn't get out of that, but he will be here. And this will not just be a radio show. It will be an education that is coming up in our conference. And wherever you are listening, like or subscribe to the page. And if you are on YouTube, just subscribe. That'll be great. We will love it if you do it. And also, hey, visit us on Super Chat, because if you do, if you like what you hear, and we love to see you do that also. It tells us we are doing the right thing. So, gosh, I've been talking way too long. I want to hear from the panel now.
Absolutely. Welcome, guys. Welcome, Laura. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you for
Yay.
inviting.
So
Really
happy.
Yeah.
appreciate it.
What about it, Dan? Do you want to? Can we throw you to the wolves first? You want to start out?
Oh, I guess I'll do a quick roll on,
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting. It's 20 years almost exactly today that I'm back here in this grouping of witnesses that came forth on May 9th, 2001, that were disclosing some pretty explosive testimonies. We were talking about proof that our legal government is being denied access. We have illegal and acknowledged special access programs taking in trillions, that we have 0-point energy solutions been suppressed that could end the need for nuclear oil and coal. We have anti-gravity craft that has been built back in the 50s that can go superluminal speed. The bases exist on the far side of the moon. They were witnessed. Astronauts were sworn to secrecy. What happened on the moon in 1969? NASA is purposely obscuring the ET craft images out of before releasing to the public. 57 different extraterrestrial species have been already categorized by people on retrieval teams. That was about since 1989. There's been more since then. ET craft has shut down nuclear ICBMs. U.S. Navy reporting spacecraft coming out of our oceans. That was my testimony. And planned false flag events. The next one being a terrorist event, which this happened just 4 months just before the 9/11 event. So in the year 2001, I didn't even know. I couldn't imagine with being an ex-ABC newsman, and the place was packed, largest event in the history of the National Press Club, how this would not change everything. But I didn't even know what Operation Mockingbird was. So afterward, CBS wanted to do an interview with me, and I said, I'm not doing this unless I can say we have the scientists willing to prove we have this. And they said they promised up and down, but said, oh, I'm sorry, the higher executives made me cut that part out. And later I learned that the higher executives are all CIA.
Big shock.
So being an ex-ABC newsman, I want to understand how our media, CNN, CBS, all the different, they basically did what is called limited hangout, where they made it sound like the whole purpose of this for a congressional hearing was just for the reality of, to have a congressional hearing on the reality of UFOs, so it basically, took it off the radar of most of the population. But a company out of Hollywood wanted me to write an article on media control, and I started researching through history. I find out that everything that we've been taught in history is incomplete or inaccurate at best. A lot of stuff is true that happened in history, but a lot of crucial things about what happened, about our government becoming infiltrated, our media, entertainment, our education has all been infiltrated, and they've been orchestrating behind the scenes the Nazi SS. Set up the Bilderberg meetings during the Eisenhower administration, Laura's great-grandfather. And they control it all today. And, what is so significant is that they truly represent the enemy of the people, because they don't give news in the benefit of the world's population. They give news that's strictly geared toward moving forward a narrative that moves forward an agenda. And this agenda is not necessarily, in the best interest of humanity.
Yeah.
And so that's the one thing I like to bring attention to, that a lot of people, they can't imagine that all of the networks and, CNN, Washington Post, New York Times, the whole during the Eisenhower administration, Laura's great-grandfather, centrally controlled. And a lot of people, they can't imagine that all of the networks and, CNN, Washington Post,
A lot
New York
of what
Times,
you thought
the whole
was
during
gonna
the
happen
Eisenhower administration,
got funneled
centrally
into
controlled. And
lesser
other people,
sensational
they can't
truths,
imagine
right?
that all of the
So they
networks and
more into UFOs
CNN,
rather than the deceit.
Washington Post,
A lot
New York
of what
Times,
you thought
the whole
was
during
gonna
the Eisenhower
happen,
administration,
right, got funneled
centrally
into
controlled.
and
And
another agenda, right, to make things look de-escalated, was brought to the forefront just to keeping up the illusion, right?
what happened, Nori, was during Laura's great-grandfather's presidency, basically a surrender agreement happened to occur back around 1955. And President Eisenhower things were restructured. Nelson Rockefeller restructured CIA MJ-12 operations. He was denied access. Kennedy, as you know, was denied access, 10 days after trying to gain access. Just about every president, CIA director has been denied access. And it was in 1997 that one of these classified documents showing these illegal, unacknowledged special access programs that were reverse engineering extraterrestrial craft over at S4 near the Area 51 facility, they denied the head of intelligence for the Joint Chiefs of Staff, which was Vice Admiral Thomas Wilson. He was furious. He told Dr. Greer, who had a meeting at the Pentagon with him, along with astronaut Edgar Mitchell and Commander Will Miller, that if you can get your people willing to go before the mainstream media of the world, that's, the 20 witnesses that I joined, and they're willing to testify under oath, you have my permission. This group is, quote, illegal, unquote. And so that's what greenlighted the event that happened 20 years ago that not very many people know about it. It went viral on the internet. It inspired, Dr. Michael Salla, who was doing an incredible work on exopolitics.org, researching all of this. It inspired a hacker in the UK, Gary McKinnon, who they wanted to put away for 70 years in prison because he revealed the US Navy secret space program that actually launched back in the 1980s, that witnesses are coming forth, ever since the year 2000, that are having their memory recalled. I mean, advanced technology, it keeps its own best secrecy because the truth about all this is so far removed from our indoctrinated reality from birth that people think it's science fiction, but it's not. It's
Right.
reality.
Yeah.
Can I go back 1 minute? I don't want to derail you, but you said the memories are coming back. How is that facilitated, or is it just a time-limited thing, and suddenly you start remembering, or?
Well, I'm no expert on that. I mean, this is something that I've been researching, all of the different secret space program witnesses that have been coming forth that served 20-year duty. From what I understand, what they all say that corroborate with each other's testimonies is that around age 17 or so, they are taken and recruited and brought onto a separate, I know this sounds like science fiction, a separate timeline where they served for 20 years. They're brought back and age reversed and time reversed back to the point of enlistment. So it's as though they never left.
Right.
And what they do is they suppress their memories. But after a 20-year span, let's say 1980 to the year 2000, it's 20 years. So the first witness that came out was Michael Ralph. Many have followed since that time, that all of a sudden they're getting total recall, like the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, total recall of their service duty in the secret space program.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, this gets deep. And the amazing thing is that these technologies, first of all, they exist, and parts and different avenues of it proving that it is real is already patented at the Patent Bureau in Washington. I have found probably somewhere around 15 to 20 different patents on flying saucers. It's there.
Right.
But nobody talks about it, and nobody even cares, I
Right.
suppose.
It's a difficult thing to disclose with a secret space program. I'm just an old 20th century witness. I had a top secret clearance in naval communications, receiving reports of extraterrestrial, whatever they were, 70-foot diameter glowing discs going over 7,000 miles per hour coming out of the ocean near Alaska, going to
Wow.
the chief of naval operations, secret reports. My testimony was just a small fragment. There's lots of reports of these craft coming out of our oceans. But the secret space program witnesses of the 21st century, they,
If you want to sell online,
they're,
make sure you stand
they
out.
they can't bring
Go
back
to
evidence.
Wix-
They can't bring back proof, whatever they were. The fact that Gary McKinnon, who going over 7,000 miles per actually hour,
saw
the kilometers-long battle cruisers of the space program, fleet-to-fleet transfers, non-terrestrial officers, they were so upset that he revealed he didn't make this up. He was able to hack in the Naval Space Command computers, and then you have witnesses like William Tompkins was in the U.S. Navy that I helped Michael Salla on some research, and he did incredible research on this and found through Freedom of Information Act documents. And then you have captains and admirals like Admiral Hugh Webster, telling him to write his book. He said, Bill, don't leave anything out. It's most important to the future of our country. Say it all, And so we have this incredible science fiction like, and then you find out that the science fiction series Star Trek was actually Leslie Stevens, who was with the Office of Naval Intelligence. His father was Admiral Leslie Stevens in Office of Naval Intelligence, and they were feeding script to Gene Roddenberry about the whole Star Trek, episode. Notice it was Admiral James T. Kirk and not General James T. Kirk. It was his Navy, in other words. So all these interesting little things you find as you research back through history.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, this is going to get deep then. I'm looking forward to hear the rest of the story of what you have to talk about here when the conference starts on the 16th.
Me too. I don't know what I'm going to,
and you also talked before the show, and you said you have some new stuff that you haven't talked about before, and don't let the cat out of the bag on that one yet. But let's just hang on to that, because that is going to get deep.
Well, I can say without the algorithms catching certain keywords of flag and censor is that we're under irregular warfare. And there's a lot of very credible scientists and doctors that are attempting to warn the population on this planet about what's going on. And it behooves everyone to do their own research and research this, what's going on.
Yeah, especially the ones that has done no research or very little research. They are the ones that is saying it's all BS. But the people that do the research, they don't look at it that way. And in the interest of time here, maybe Laura, would you also hitch on to the wagon and talk a little bit about what you are going to do and what you're going to talk about, and give us some pearls of wisdom?
Well, I love the diversity and the common threads that all of us speakers bring to the table for this conference. I mean, it's incredible. It's like there's you get the whole spectrum, I feel, of everything related to disclosure, advancement of our human potential, unveiling our galactic heritage, and unlimited human potential is actually the name of the conference. But when you look at all the different speakers, we got everything from expert researchers, and then experiencers, people that have been in the 20 and back program, like Tony Rodriguez, and then Kathy O'Brien, who has healed tremendously from unbelievable MK Ultra abuse. And her story is unbelievable. She wrote Transformation of America. I could go off about, all the different speakers, but when you look at it, you've got a mix of, researchers, And then Dan Winter with his like genius energy that will bring us into solutions, and folks like, Augie and Nori that, solution-based type stuff. Justin with his incredible philosophies. I mean, it's just, and Dan Willis with, oh my gosh, like bringing to light things that have been largely misunderstood as far as events that have taken place. There's a lot of misinformation in the UFO community, purposefully done, of course. And, Dan just keeps digging through all of that to give us the real picture. And he's really, helped shine a lot of truth and light on who Eisenhower really was and what he was up against. There's so much confusion surrounding that. And, being raised in this family is just like such a weird thing. But it's like, I'm weird and it's all I know. So I know I've been working with him for a long time, and I was having a lot of close connections with him throughout my childhood, and everything was sort of like a preparation to the times that we are in now. And a lot of it had to do with gaining an understanding of timelines and stargates and how our DNA and the planetary grid network is totally connected. And so throughout my life, I was led into the research of what our junk DNA truly is. And so when I like to talk about things in regards to unlocking our unlimited human potential, I like to go in that direction because it's actually, so beyond fascinating. And there's the scientific part of it and the sort of quantum, the terminologies where it's like, what? But when you really look at it, it's actually a love story. And I love bringing it into sort of the archetypal and how this junk DNA, which is actually a treasure, holds different harmonic universes and different levels of union, right? So as we see in our lives, we have partnerships, friendships, soulmates, and then the concept of twin flame. Well, in this junk DNA, we go from this sort of process of building wings, kind of overcoming the Saturn moon matrix patriarchal agendas and the things that have kept the masculine and feminine within ourselves out of balance, the electromagnetic energies that create this greater circulation that keeps us healthy, that doesn't need to be looked at necessarily as masculine or feminine, but, positive, negative. It is what it is, right, left, brain, just the whole, circulation. But when we're given distortions through media, through just, Hollywood industry, television, magazines, and we grow up with that level of indoctrination, it's very difficult for us to have that energetic flow. And so we instead have energetic blocks, or we're stuck in our ego, negative ego, or major insecurities, or major narcissism, or where we're locked in this lower place that doesn't allow us to really explore the rest of ourselves. Because every time we try to, there's some sort of mockery of it, or no, an outer authority needs to tell you, and you need to prove that you listened and can regurgitate it by this grade system. And if you get an A, wow, we'll give your ego a high five, and then you'll walk around like, I am so qualified because I've got this degree and that degree. And to the point where people close themselves off of listening to those that have gone down rabbit holes or explored information that we don't get in the school systems, our hidden galactic history, things that have been hidden by our, governments, and just, the list is so long, and I could make, a huge list about it. But what I love about the study of our junk DNA is that it's the building blocks of creating union within ourselves again, illuminating the divine blueprint within ourselves again, so that we can return to the true love story and divorce ourselves from the imposters and all the different things that are vamping from us, that are manipulating us and our self-esteem, that are giving us like a false reward system that keeps us, kind of like unable to see, a much larger picture. So the exploration of these sort of subjects, which everybody, that is participating in this conference has done, is amazing, because it's an activation. When energy is directed in places that haven't gotten attention, and we start to bring awareness into all that, it gives it life, it gives it breath. So what has been dormant and shut down begins to integrate into the rest of it, and it breathes life into it. It brings life back into it. And also, when we look at junk DNA and the whole concept of scrambled fire codes, which has to do with the sequences of the DNA coding, it repairs that and rebalances it, because we're no longer just a product of our environment, or what has come through Project Mockingbird and the indoctrination programs that are grooming us to accept and say yes to and consent to the most unbelievable weapons against our ability to ascend and thrive as humans. So, and I'll kind of like shut up in a second, but
No, that's good.
So the higher harmonic universes, as we move through the restoration of this DNA architecture, it's actually a love story. So we go from like building wings to alchemical marriage to hierogamic union. And that actually brings us back into the 12-strand DNA and beyond embodiment. And that's where we begin to become able to experience deeper relationships and even meet that twin flame. So our physical body is then in a slow process of adjusting to that change in energy. And that's the whole concept of moving from carbon-based to crystalline. So we can experience something in our consciousness before our physical body gets there. So we can be vibrating in a, 0-point unified field, 12-strand, avatar consciousness. But if we can stay consistent with it and allow that to downgrade into our physical lifestyle to the point where we're in service to this greater truth and our higher mind and how that connects to source energy, we transform the world around us, because we're not sort of living a double life where, I'll just work that matrix job and deal with people that don't treat me with respect while this whole other world is existing over here. So the integration of this greater awareness and giving it the attention it deserves, because it's the fullness of all that we are, and fully inviting it into our physical lifestyle can change the energies around us, can change the dynamics of our relationships.
Year 2000s, 20 years.
So
the first
can give us
witness
the inspiration to giving it the attention it deserves, the living embodiment of all that we are, and fully inviting it into our physical lifestyle. Can change love story, a true the energies around us, can change the dynamics in our relationships.
Year 2000s, 20 years. So the first
can give us the
witness
inspiration to giving it the attention it deserves. Jesus Christ, whatever people feel comfortable in calling Shiva Shakti, any of these ancient civilizations and how they revered this as the true royalty of nature, and how that impacted the planetary grid network and the kingdoms was all about, the love and the nurturing of humanity, and that the leaders were the ones that were able to really nurture and embrace those unions. And we're seeing a very different version, of course, with whatever you call those people that they live at Buckingham Palace, or it's boarded up, who knows where they are right now. But so, I mean, it's a return to all of this. And in the face of all this adversity, we have two choices. We can open that door and walk into this greater potential. And this is what this conference is about. We want to tap into that. We want to give energy to it. We want to celebrate it. We want to really bring it in and acknowledge it, and re-educate ourselves and refamiliarize ourselves with something that has resonance within our being. And that's why it activates us, versus fear, compliancy, obedience, and indoctrination, mind control, social engineering, and all this whole other world that's literally, a humiliating psychological operation that we want to give as many people as possible a chance to break free from. And the solution part of it too can give a lot of hope to people that might feel that their loved ones have made irreversible decisions. I think that consciousness and spirit is the override frequency to that, and that it's not all doom and gloom for those that have made choices that might truly concern us. I feel something else is in the works, and I'll be bringing a lot of attention to that. So my talk is called Activating Divine Mission and Transcending Matrix. Everybody's got, a deep inner calling, and not all missions look the same. I mean, even the word leadership is not going to look the same for everybody. Leadership doesn't mean you're just going to be in charge of a bunch of people and tell them what to do and where to go. Leadership can be leading by example, taking the higher road in a situation that might be full of stress. I mean, there's all different kinds of leadership. There's all different kinds of missions. The whole deal is what is your truth? What is authentic to you? How can we help a person to really connect with that and feel more connected to the self and wow, you're getting an upgrade. And also transcending the matrix, of course, is breaking the relationship with all those unconscious agreements and the things that really, kind of bring us down, because it's putting us to the next level of reversal, digression, enslavement. And we don't need to go that route. we can move into moving forward and advancing ourselves by truly, knowing that this is a planet that is seeded as an ascension planet. So I talk a lot about the galactic history and how the planet became the planet that it is today, and how we can disengage from that so that we can move with the currents that are helping to upgrade us and advance us and override and overcome all these assaults. And it's available and it's here. And this is why this window period has been so prophesized. And it's such an incredibly special window that we're in. And I go into great detail about that, the 13th sign, the mother arc energy, the aqua ray, and how that anchored back into the earth, and the galactic cores of Milky Way and Andromeda becoming one again, and how all these transmissions are available. So we can just push that BS to the side. It's like a bad partner, bad relationship, divorce it, embrace the true love story, and really begin to embrace who we truly are, not let anybody steal, rob, or mess with our heads anymore. It's like, we're done. This is like divorce court. It's time to meet our true love. And it's our experience with creation. And it's going to switch everything on and give us back our gifts and abilities. It'll help us to rise above all sorts of adversity, and it'll help us to heal ourselves and not be in fear of this stuff. I mean, it'll bring back the awareness that we are alchemists within our own soul, and we have the power to heal and do extraordinary things, and that miracles isn't just some anomaly. It's actually an ability that we need to reclaim, is to get back in touch with that miracle vibration, and we need it right now more than ever.
Yep.
That was amazing.
Laura.
That was amazing.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you.
Go ahead, Nori.
Very, very important point.
No, go ahead, Augie.
Because the consciousness and messing with our heads is part of what I want to express about what has happened in the infiltration, and looking back at the occult that the Nazis were involved with, and what has infiltrated into Hollywood and our media and everything, and how it affects the global collective mind, and how reality is formed in these ways that are labeled as occult, but they understand the mechanisms. The secret societies understand these mechanisms, and they put themselves into key positions, and they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
And the unsuspecting public is being unless we become awake and do no longer give our consent, they move forward on their agenda.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Hey, Laura, I want to start a movement to call it unconnected DNA instead of junk DNA.
Unconnected, you said?
I think there'd be a point to that.
Wait, what was the term you used?
Oh, unconnected DNA, because a lot of these loose ends that we call junk DNA, they do have a purpose.
No, well, that's the whole deal. Is the junk DNA is the treasure, and it holds all these higher harmonic universes and these different levels of union. And so then when we begin to activate it and we begin to understand what it truly is, our outer world has no choice but to reflect back to us a higher earth. So our dormant DNA, what they call junk, which is really based in the Saturn moon matrix, just sort of artificial signals that keep that part of us unconscious and easily programmed, begins to just kind of step away from it and have a much more authentic experience, which turns the junk into gold, turns it into treasure. That's why I love, the term, or I use the term global alchemist, because it affects the whole planet. And when we can achieve those levels of consciousness, we're going to be riding wave patterns and exists in a dimension that supports it. And that's where I feel the bifurcation happens, is that there is no longer any agreement or compatibility or unconscious connections with that old matrix. We're like literally allowing ourselves to move into something that we find within. So when we find it within, the earth has no choice but to respond to us. Just like when we change our vibration and we stop allowing like maybe toxic people into our life and we find those boundaries, we can more notice the synchronicities that connect us with soul family and people that really count. So making those choices in our everyday keeps us from constantly getting hijacked and sabotaged. And so what is disconnected can be reconnected. And it's really the acknowledgement of the power of love, of true union that we cultivate and discover within ourselves. And even if we feel broken, it doesn't mean that we're not going to find love. It doesn't mean we have to be perfect before that mate comes along, because sometimes, a lot of people that are in suffering or pain are very highly conscious and highly intelligent. They just can't function in this BS, which is understandable, which is why I love the quote. I can't remember who it's by. It's no measure of health to be well adjusted to a sick society. So you get a lot of sick people that are actually highly advanced, that are just overly sensitive and just can't seem to shield themselves enough. So anyway, junk DNA is a treasure. We need to switch on 12 strand and beyond. And because the nets and the matrix is literally limiting our potential in ways that are just unreal. And that's why I love the name of this and what you do, because you're all about unlocking those keys in the work that you do, Augie. So
that's what we do. Yeah.
I mean, that's a little bit of what we do on Sunday at the Mastermind. All of these people with brilliant minds come together, and we envision the world as if it is heaven on earth. So here's a bunch of us. I mean, sometimes we have 3 screens on Zoom, a bunch of us putting those visions out there, putting them up into the quantum realm, having them turn into vibration and waves, and we're contributing to the healing that's happening. We're contributing to the fact that love has won, but we have to stand steady in that truth.
Yeah.
But that's what we do on Sunday, as well as working one-on-one with people. Because the power of your mind, when it's teamed up with your emotion, like with the emotion of love, massive. You can do amazing things with that. We can do it together.
It's phenomenal. The mastermind, which what we're doing is, definition of a mastermind is plain and simple. When 2 or more minds are united in harmony, they create a third mind that has the potential mind power of the 2 or more of them multiplied by each other. So think of that. If you get 1,000 people to think about the same thing with emotion, vivid, colorful images, and love, and the rest of the spiritual language, now you got the mind power of 1,000 times 1,000. That's 1,000,000 minds. That is powerful. So,
massive.
We invite people, come and join us. Send us an email to the Mastermind Connection @gmail.com if you're interested in testing it out and see what it can do for you, and have a look at it. Just we'll get you a link so you can come and join us.
And make sure you put the Mastermind Connection in it, otherwise we won't get it. But we would love for you to come and join us on Sundays. It's so much fun, and the people, it's one of those gatherings that every time you walk away you're like, I can't believe I get to hang out with these people. Like today with Laura and Dan, right? I mean, amazing.
Oh yeah.
Same kind of feeling.
Yeah.
So I'm going to...
like being with your favorite rock stars, but it's like so much like
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nori, do you want to talk a little bit about what you're going to...
Yeah, I'm going to definitely be talking about hypnotherapy, as well as, like the lesser form of hypnotherapy, like guided imagery, maybe guided imagery and meditation together. They're all kind of in the same realm. And, I know people don't like to mix them up because some people, have misconceptions about hypnotherapy. They think that it's going to be like what they see on a stage, in a stage show where somebody's barking like a dog or crowing like a rooster. And that's not what happens. That happens in stage shows because the people who are doing the barking and the quacking, agreed to that. So that doesn't happen, in one-on-one hypnotherapy. Not in my hypnotherapy anyway. There is a certain degree of, can you make yourself hypnotized, right? Because you look at these people and go, are they faking? No, maybe they're not faking. Maybe they're really into barking. Maybe they were really into quacking, right? I don't know. But there is a certain degree of relaxing when you trust the person you're going to do hypnotherapy with. so that you can access the subconscious mind, right? That place where all of your answers reside. Somebody asked today if a bunch of people had ever been connected to their higher self. Absolutely. I mean, why isn't the subconscious mind your higher self? Maybe it is, right? I mean, Abraham Hicks talks about your higher self. When you're in connection with your higher self, my higher self is connected with the divine. Everything flows. But I'm kind of getting off track because I love this part of it so much. So I'm going to be talking about
track.
Huh?
I like that track. Just keep
I
going.
know. Let me go back a little bit. So with hypnotherapy, what good is hypnotherapy right now? No matter where you are on the trajectory, whether you are, forgive me, I don't have a better word, whether you're asleep or you're awake or you're in any degree of fear because you're not sure what's going on, panic, apathy, I just don't want to look at anything. I'm just going to, stay in my house and do what they say. Like, no matter where you are on that trajectory, there is something for you in hypnotherapy. Because if you just think, what is that thing that I'd like to be feeling? What is that thing I'd like to be thinking that would make me feel better than the way I feel right now? Right? Especially if you're on the trajectory where you're scared with what's going on. You're like, oh my God, I don't even know what the truth is. Great. You can come into hypnotherapy to find out the truth, but not just, the truth around the world. I mean, I guess you could find that out if you want to, but your truth. When you know your truth, then you know where to look for the truth in the world. When you finally uncover your truth, and maybe, the Sunday school people said you couldn't be that way, and your aunt said you couldn't, and your mother said, right? Maybe there's all these layers of stuff on who we really came to be. A hypnotherapy session can open those lotus petals for you. And when you know your truth, you know if you're going to go to a doctor or if you're going to do homeopathy. If you know your truth, you know that you're not going to do this or you're going to do that, right? I'm not judging. You know where to get your water. You know what to stock up on or not. You know maybe the pathway into creating heaven on earth. Because if we focus on heaven on earth like we do on the masterminds, and it doesn't necessarily look like, angels and stuff. I mean, we look at the population being healthy. We look at volcanoes that are suddenly erupting, not being so toxic, not having such bad outcomes for the land and the people. Hurricanes, things that are imminent. We mastermind on those things, and those things have been shifting. I'm not saying we're the only people doing it, because we're not, but I'm saying it's happening. So you can open to your higher self. You can open to your greatest potential. And no matter where you are on the trajectory, if you choose to do that, it's not going to be scary. I think a lot of us are afraid of knowing the truth because we're afraid it's going to hurt. We're afraid we're going to be disappointed in the world. We're going to hate the builder, right? It's not going to happen like that. You're going to be a gentle observer, and none of the impact is going to be sustained by you. And you're going to come out a whole new different person. You may go meet your future self. When you go meet your future self, you might be taken to another galaxy and be put under these amazing crystal lights and colors and have something happen. That's happened in hypnotherapy sessions. People have gone and gotten activated. People have gone and gotten, I don't know, it's like they've been to a graduation. I went to one graduation underwater, where the water was pink. And this woman, was connected to the Pleiadians by the time we got done. But it was this great ceremony where she opened up to her Pleiadian ancestry. And now she's a leader in her own community, helping people, just like we all are trying to help everybody. So I went on a couple of side roads, but I think you have a good feeling for the way hypnosis can go. And of course, if we need to deal with some of the things that are in the way, like, look, I'm panic stricken. Okay, let's work with that first. Then we'll go for your personal truth next. You know, I can't sleep. My husband doesn't understand me. My family doesn't get me. I'm awake. They're not awake yet. I want them to wake up, right? We're all going through real things like that. And hypnotherapy can help you. And if you stay up at night because you don't know if that dream that you had was real and you had an experience, well, hypnotherapy can help you with that too.
Nice.
So, how's that, Og?
Wow.
Is that good?
Oh, I love it.
All right.
There's
Thank
science behind that. Speaking of crystals and water, when I worked with IBM's head scientist, Dr. Vogel, one experiment he did that kind of shows that the collective mind is kind of like an ocean, kind of like water. And that when he took a small vial of water from a sacred spring that had a high structuring vibrational content and put it into a big container of unstructured bulk water, all the water immediately took on that whole energetic signature, every single drop. But if you take a drop of unstructured water and put it in there, it doesn't go the other way. The fundamental matrix is love. And, Dr. Emoto showed that, with hate and fear versus love, you have the structuring where you have a distortion of the pattern. So when people are not in the love vibration, it's a distortion. It's not aligning with the matrix that we are in. And the research that he did with quartz crystals and water, he always used to say these things we are researching, they're akin to the normal laws of physics that we know and understand, but they're similar to. And so it's like when you research anything in science and go deep enough, you get into the metaphysics of it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yeah, and a lot of people think of the word metaphysics as a bad word, but the definition of it is plain and simple. It's the science of what we do not understand, which means we don't understand it yet.
Yeah, I mean, I remember growing up refusing to go to doctors and just going on a journey to understand the energetic behind why something wasn't manifesting on the physical in like a healthy way. And so looking at the metaphysics behind certain illnesses is so interesting. Even our susceptibility to injury. And I really have gotten a lot out of studying medical astrology because it ties into that.
Wow.
Earth, air, fire, water, ether are the elementals. Now with the 13th sign that's ruled by the ether, we have greater circulation with this, spirit, like light energy, and it can help to clear these elementals that have built up a lot of, like we were talking about, distortions, toxicity and imbalance. And so now having access to that, it's able to kind of like recenter, realign, or help us to have access to things that weren't so easy to have access to before. And so we've become, grossly addicted to, the matrix in many, many ways, including
Right.
Medications, the pharmaceuticals, the chemicals in the food. People are addicted to television and shopping. I mean, it's across the board. And really it comes down to the theft that people feel because they're not having that real, connection with true nutrition on a multidimensional level, where the mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical are literally receiving nourishment. And now, just in the breath of life, we're able to receive that. And they're literally trying to turn us away from that, masking us and giving us these artificial options when really it's all in our breath to,
Yes.
connect in. And so the interesting part about medical astrology and the metaphysics is that, if an air element is having a challenging aspect with, a particular part of our body, it's like, for example, and I'll just say this real quick, the north node that we're all experiencing on the planet right now is in the sign of Gemini. As far as what Gemini rules in terms of our bodily organs is lungs, throat chakra, breathing, communication. So the north node is what we need to step into and integrate. So they're literally like trying to hijack us stepping up and speaking truth, us being able to really take in and draw a deep breath to connect with the breath of life and all the healing powers that it holds, and turn it into a reversal. So the reason I feel, besides it being a bioweapon that people are getting sick, the reason some are so vulnerable is
Right.
because they have a lot of distortion and accumulation of energy in that particular place because they haven't really fully expressed their truth as far as what their higher wisdom body might like to guide them and show them to express. Instead, they're regurgitating what they learned in school, and they're in that lower place of, as long as I play the game, I'm going to get rewarded for it. Why seek anything different? And I was taught that you guys are all woo-woo and all nuts, so I'm not even going to go there, kind of thing. So anyway, I'll shut up, but
No, don't shut up ever. Don't ever stop.
but yeah, it's just so interesting because, you know, we tend to just focus in on the physical plane, but we're so beyond the physical. And we have to understand, you know, emotional health, the things that we can't see, the unseen realms, and the health of those things, and tune into it. And that's, you know, what you were talking about, Nori, and the kind of work that you do. You take people into those places in order to do that kind of clearing, and then the physical response. It might have a bit of a healing crisis as the energy adjusts, but it's no longer enslaved and bound to this system of that is the most unhealthy dependency paradigm, you know, where literally once you form that connection and you give your power away to it, it pretty much owns you until death, if you are lucky enough to escape. And that's why I love the work that you do, because it just, you know.
Well, here's what happened today. This was so cool because, you know, I started the Center for Radiant Wellbeing, and it was very much, you know, mainstream exercise mixed in with alternative healing, right? So we would have a Reiki stretch, or I would do a chakra balance, you know, after the class ended. Reiki every 3 days, transformational imagery meditations. So they've kind of expanded. And I realized today that part of what I do, it's very kind of stealth, and I love it, is that people are coming seemingly for a very mundane reason, right? To transform their body, right? We've got the COVID-30, you know, we all can't bend down the way we used, right? So we're all coming for that. But today, after an ab workout, in the middle of doing the ab workout, I said to everybody, do you understand that the way that you are breathing right now, you are nourishing your light body? And I said, you will never hear that in any other gym. And I love what we're doing because, you know, in either overt ways or covert ways, we're all trying to get the trickle of love, right? The frequency of love out there, so everybody can get to their right person to receive the information that's going to open them up. And that's what the portal is all about. There's going to be a wealth, I mean, like limitless information that people can interpret.
Yeah.
So, Augie, what are you going to be doing there?
Before I go to that, Nori, there may be some people that may not want to wait till the 16th to find out more about what you're doing there. Let them know how they can get a hold of you, and maybe have a look at your Center for Radiant Wellbeing.
Absolutely. So you can get in touch with me by emailing the center. Let me make it easier. You can get in touch with me by emailing norilovemail@gmail.com. norilovemail@gmail.com. That's the easiest. If you want to find the Center for Radiant Wellbeing, the website is that name, the Center for Radiant Wellbeing. It'll take you to all the classes. It'll tell you to subscribe, but really it should say just enroll. So you put your name in so that you can get notifications when we're having a special or when we're having special classes. Like I'm going to be attuning 5 people, I can only do 5, to Reiki level 1 and 2 starting in May 8th. So I only have 1 spot open for that. But those are the kind of classes that you'll be notified about if you subscribe/enroll. You can go on Facebook if you are on Facebook. Sometimes I feel I'm scared to talk about Facebook. Like something's going to happen. If you're on Facebook, there's the group, the Center for Radiant Wellbeing. There's the page. If you like the page, I can invite you to the group. The group is really laid back, a bunch of really cool people. And you also get to hear about what's going on in the center every day because we share it in really playful ways. So thank you, Augie. Sorry I went a bit long, but thank you.
That's all right. That's all right. We can run a little bit over here.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to say a few words too at the conference. And I got kind of 3 different subjects that I really think is very important, especially today. One of them is for us that is a little more chronologically advanced in age. I don't want to say old. So,
you're buffering that. That's good. That was good.
Okay, all right. No, that's something that actually got a lot of science behind it because it works. And that is that in 2009, there were 3 doctors that got the Nobel Prize for discovering an enzyme that reverses the aging process. And nobody told us. And I'm going to talk about how can we actually do this. And I found that I researched this and I found some really, really old people. I mean, very old people.
Like 200 and something, right? 200
yeah.
something.
Li Xing died from an accident at 256.
Yeah.
And there are others too. That recent one, actually, a lady in Saudi Arabia, she was 168, I think. And it was written up in all the newspaper over the Middle East, but of course not in here, so that wasn't talked about. But this can be done, and I'm going to explain to the listeners how this can happen and what I'm doing. And another thing I want to talk about is, why does it work the way that we do? What is this thing around that we call our lives and our existence? And what is the universe made of? What are the particles that we are made of? Is it a computer program that we are in the middle of running, or a movie that we are the star actor in? It's starting to look like it. And we're going to talk about that because it gets very deep when you get into the fabric of space and how to explain it, and you find computer language in it. This gets deep, so wait for that one. One more thing that I want to, is one of my favorite subjects I've been involved with for 25 years, and that is time travel. I want to explain a little bit about what is time. Science really don't know what it is because many physicists say there is really no evidence for that time even exists. Now, time, we know that, yeah, we can imagine time. We can think of something in the past and we relive it, and then we think about something now and wish for something in the future. That's a projection of mental time, but is that all there is? And another thing is that if something is going on in your life right now you're not very happy with, start researching something called timelines, because these timelines that we are on are not necessarily locked in stone. If there's something going on we don't like, we can charge a new timeline and go off in a different direction by making decisions in the middle of things that we otherwise would not. If we don't control our mind and make our own decisions, someone else will be controlling your life and making decisions for you. And make doggone sure that you totally trust that guy or girl that does that. But if you don't, you better start thinking for yourself and maybe create a new timeline, because those timelines are real. And I also, this is going to get a little out there, but I'm going to do it anyway. I've been encouraged. I wasn't going to do it first, but I've been encouraged by some people to actually do it. I'm going to demonstrate and show you a time travel device that I've had some very strange experiences with. In fact, BBC television came over from England in 2003, and they did a TV documentary on time travel. They interviewed Michio Kaku and Green and another theoretical physicist and myself. I demonstrated that machine on the TV documentary that was actually shown to about 1 billion people in all English-speaking countries. And this is something that can get very interesting because I may also be able to show you some evidence of time travel in form of pictures. I'm having them analyzed right now. Delatoso in Phoenix is doing it. And he's going to give me a report on those pictures, make sure that there is nothing wrong with them. And I know there's nothing wrong with them, but I just want his word on it. So they're saying that there are no dislocations and no errors in the pixels and the way they are formatted on the picture. So when I get that, then I can talk more deeply about it, because at least he cannot verify that I actually did this, but the evidence on those pictures cannot be explained away. So I encourage you to come and listen to this one too, because that is going to get really deep. And gosh, I don't know. I don't know. What else should we talk about? Well, I wish Neil would make it. That would be a good way to close up this session.
That's okay.
Redirecting our timeline is an important thing for us to do. Absolutely.
It has everything to do with relationship. I mean, we pick up the karma of others when we link ourselves with them. So a person that might be a healer always needs to kind of clear their field after they work with somebody, because you don't want to end up taking on their karma. You don't want to get yanked into their reality, and sometimes empaths end up getting absorbed into things and have to kind of dig their way back out. Or, a lot of people talk about how empaths, for some reason, attract narcissists. And so it's like, what are we in relationship with that doesn't serve us? Because if we stay in relationship to it, it's very much a part of our timeline. No different than like the food we put in our body. So if we're in relationship with the matrix and the things that they're telling us to do as far as these, false solutions, if we're in relationship with, food that is causing aging instead of taking nutrients like Augie was talking about that help us to, override the programming of aging, and how it's affected our telomeres and just this whole kind of agenda to just keep us very much dumbed down and looping in the time loop and being born with amnesia with no real memories at all, that we can access or learn from, including our galactic history and our galactic memories and our connection with the higher, dimensions that we're returning to without it being filtered through things like religion. I mean, the spiritual sovereignty piece. So anyway, it's all about relationship, and cultivating the greatest relationship within ourselves, loving ourselves enough to be true to ourselves, to speak our truth, to face those challenges, to not fear the dark, because that is the creative cauldron, that is the soil, that is a part of ourselves that they've taught us to fear, so that the dark beings can actually run the show, appearing as the false light entities that are supposedly guiding humanity and they care about us. It's like, what? No. So anyway, like you guys were talking about, right. Facing, the dark, not being scared of the dark anymore, and reclaiming that creative cauldron, that womb, so that we can consciously bring in the thoughts and ideas and visions that really matter to us, and allow them to germinate and grow the reality we want to see, instead of allowing our creative channels to be infected by this BS, so that we're actually enabling the very things that we don't want, because we're in a unconscious destructive relationship. So totally. So what we're in relationship to, I feel, determines the timeline, and we want to cultivate the most ultimate relationship with the organic ascension timeline. And that's why I love these conversations. This is what this conference is all about. And there's constant replays. You can replay it over and over again. Sometimes a lot of the stuff goes over people's head. The beauty of these kind of things is you can watch it over and over. The speakers you might not be able to see because of your schedule, you can replay, and you'll get the whole package.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, one more thing that I want to say, we're kind of getting down towards the end here, but Nori, you didn't say, but you're also a double certified law of attraction coach. Mm-hmm. And I think it was not last one, but the one before, you were talking about when we do these manifestations of our future, there is something about the 17-second rule. Could you talk just a little bit about that? Because I think there is someone that needs to hear it out there.
Okay, so the 17-second rule, the first time I ever heard it, and I'm sure that it is, classic Abraham Hicks, because I fell into their arms a crumpled mess back in the 80s, and have been studying them ever since. So the 17-second rule is whatever you put your focus on for 17 seconds, it begins to move toward you. You begin to move toward it. It begins to move toward you. You start attracting it at 17 seconds. So what you can use it for generativity, right? You want to create something. So you put the clock on and you, for 17 seconds, you focus on that thing, the feeling of that thing that you're desiring, and you just stay on it past 17 seconds. The other thing is, so that you don't get caught up in the vibration of negativity and whatever frequency that negativity holds, depending upon what your conversation is. If you need to complain or rant or, say something, that's really dramatic or potentially painful, say it in less than 17 seconds so you don't start moving toward it and it doesn't start moving toward you. So if you need to have a rant, put the timer on and be done at 17 seconds. Now, if you hold your focus for 68 seconds, then you've actually initiated the manifestation process. It's begun. So that's 17 seconds and 68 seconds, and that's classic Abraham Hicks. Yeah.
Well, that's so interesting. Real quick, because the 17th card in the tarot is the star card, and you put 7 + 1 together, and you get the number 8, the infinity spiral, which is very much about manifestation, because the heavens and how it circulates with the earth, the cosmic and earth energies, and how they intertwine.
Cool.
The star energy has everything to do with like our mission, and so I just
that's awesome.
Yeah, interesting.
Sounds powerful for holding a visualization for a 17-second period.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or,
getting my stopwatch ready.
I know, right? Well, the other thing is you can actually use it as therapy. If you are having like the worst day on the planet and you're so negative, you can get 17 seconds of your favorite music or 17 seconds of your grandchild, whatever it is that you can look at, 17 seconds of playing with your cat or your dog, that's going to begin to shift your energy from the negative up into the lighter vibrations. So you can use it as an energy tool as well.
Oh, I'm looking forward to hear more about this in the conference, Nori.
Okay.
Don't forget that one.
All right.
Yeah, amazing. People are going to walk away with a lot of tools and inspiration, and I just know people are going to walk away feeling a lot closer to themselves and very reassured in these very troubling times that we're in. I mean, the reassurance,
Yes.
Because we're bringing people closer to being able to be nurtured from the inside out. The reassurance really lies within. When we know that we have this potential that we're taught that we don't have.
Exactly.
We're taught to give our power away. When we realize this, and even people who do realize it, we need constant reminders. The consistency of these kind of messages is so important.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we have just run out of time, I guess.
Huh?
So.
Okay, that was so good.
Yeah, this was wonderful, and I thank you very much, Dan and Laura. This was, but we're going to do one more of these before the conference, right?
Maybe
Laura?
2.
Maybe 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Good
and
deal.
real quick, I'm sure you're going to put the links in. I'm cosmicgaia.org. You can pretty much find anything there. Dan, do you want to share your website?
My notes are the webmatrix.net. There's if you go to timeline events, it's things I can't talk about. There's a link on that because of our current situation on this planet of trying to control the narrative.
Sorry, cowards. And Nori and Augie, you guys already shared your information. You did
Thank you
tonight, and thank you so much for having us. And
thank you guys
for creating this.
Thank you very much, and we will be back next week. I believe it is next week with
John,
Nori.
Tom,
John D'Souza. You guys are having 2?
Yeah,
John
D'Souza. Yeah, I think that's it.
That's going to be good. We haven't talked to him in over a year.
Yeah, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, and he's one of the presenters.
Yes.
And John D'Souza is also going to be on the conference, right?
Yes.
Good deal. All right. Well,
great
then we will-
diverse group of people. I mean, it's quite a it's quite a well-rounded from all different angles. It should be
Yeah.
quite a fascinating conference for everyone.
Yes.
Oh, seriously.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, and we will live long and prosper.
Always. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye bye.